we are back, everybody, for episode 360, stage 19 of the Tour de France. This is the stage Tadej Pogačar calls the Queen stage of the 2024 Tour. Speaking of queens, wait until you hear the hissy fit that TJ Van Garderen has about gifting stages. This guy unhinged, in my opinion, and perhaps why he was never a great champion. Visa, Lisa Bike, they give it a try, but they switch to plan B along the way. No Sepp Kuss at this one, but will the Americans finally get their climbing stage victory at the Tour de France? Should Tadej gift a stage? And when do we start asking, what is he on? Tour de France, 111th edition, stage 19, Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 360, right now.
Massive number of people have been upgrading. Yes,
there you go. You see the graceful limb that you were talking about before.
The race we've got yet again, and a victor then goes victory to an American, Andy Hampton.
The felt it go by. He looks at the Colombian rider. How are you doing?
Straight past Santiago Patero, and he's coming up to Pantani.
Armstrong is sitting in the last few hundred meters as we come towards the finish of this monumental stage. And
as we start to approach the line now, Pantani grits his teeth and accelerates and over the line.
Is going now to win stage number 15. Sepp Kuss, an emotional finish from Durango in the USA. Sepp Kuss wins.
And welcome everybody, Tyler Yankee, Between Two Wheels podcast. We are doing stage 19 of the 2024 Tour de France. Welcome aboard. Let's get to it. I mean, look, maybe we should take a look first here at the profile. Take a look at, let's add this up to the screen. What do we have? How many kilometers was this one today? Now I'm going to have to see here. 144.6 kilometers. Not a big stage. If you think about that, that's under 100 miles. Two big HC category climbs until we hit the final one category climb up to Isola 2000. Spectacular day on the schedule, and I mean, I'm looking forward to this. Came in and kind of shit hit the fan right away, and we're gonna walk our way through this piece by piece. Here is the KOM jersey going into the stage, which I thought was a little bit interesting. Yesterday, Carapaz is in the break fighting for some KOM points. And does he really have a chance? Well, he was at 37 points coming into the day, and then we have double points going over some of the big climbs. Let me take a look here. I'm going to have to look at on my other side here, because I want to get exactly where we're at for these climbs, their names. And what do we have? We walked through it yesterday. We have the Isola 2000, but before that we have the Col de Vars, which is 18.9 kilometers at 5.6%. Then we have a 23.1 kilometer climb, the Cima de la Bonette at 6.8% average. That's the big one, kind of getting into it until we get over it. So there's points available. There's 20 points available at the first one. There's 40 points available at the second one. And then obviously there's points at the finish, which we will walk through as well. Tyler Yankee is live. Victor says, yes, Victor, welcome aboard. Let's go. Okay, so the break starts in earnest well before the 116 kilometer spot that I show here. But with that, team that's missing out is Carapaz. Carapaz, when I just went back there, let's take a look at it again at the KOMs. Pogačar's in the lead at 77 points. Vingegaard can't go anywhere. Remco's at 42. Lascano, he's at 41. Carapaz at 37. And he's won the Giro. He's won the mountain jersey at the Vuelta. He just won a stage the other day in the Tour de France. He can go uphill just fine, and his team is very anxious to get up the road. And I think they're going for the KOM jersey as well as the stage. It's just one follows the other. But what we have going into this, they being EF Education, the American team, they missed the break early on. Nilsson Palace gets up in there. He actually sits up, I think, comes back, helps Carapaz at 116 to go. You've got Simon Yates, Carapaz making the front break. The results of the first sprint, though, that were before that were Brian Coquard, Turgis, Van Moor, Abramson, Nilsson Palace. Wilco Kelderman makes it up there for Visa Lisa Bike. Lascano's up there. Van Wilder's up there. Magnus Cort, Christian Rodriguez, Jai Hindley, and a few others. Then you get Matteo Jorgensen makes the break as well. He gets up in the group. Then EF gets Carapaz up there, and things are ready to rock and roll. You've got a really strong group coming up here. Coming up at that some point, you can see Wilco Kelderman's driving the front with Matteo. Their point, Visa Lisa Bike, their whole premise at this point is to get riders up the road, hopefully help Jonas Vingegaard. Now, looking at Jonas yesterday and hearing some things in the news, I don't know that he's necessarily feeling all that well. They said he was depleted. He was just completely worn down. I expect at these next two stages and then the time trial that he's going to either be holding steady, losing time to Tadej, but probably just trying to hang on to that second place now. So therefore, the team's up the road. They're ready to do satellite riders. That's actually what Matteo says, but they switch it at some point to say, you know what, we're going to actually start driving this thing for Matteo and Kelderman, because we actually want to see if we can get the stage win for them there today. Well, so that's the plan, at least, that they have going. There's a group. However, Niels Paulett is driving the pace for UAE. They're not letting him get much more than a 4-minute lead. They go up and over the Col de Vars, and Niels Paulett is doing a lot of work. You can see the UAE team there. At this point, Jonas is totally isolated. 3:43 for the yellow jersey back to the group up there, and Guillaume Martin is in the middle trying to hang his They come into the last climb, which is pretty good. Let me just recap here, because we have the sprints. Then we had dropping from the group. Laporte gets dropped. Nilsson Palace waits up. He helps his teammate there. Carapaz goes over the first category climb. The Col de Vars, the Col de Vars. He gets 20 points over that one. Then they come over the La Bonnette, and Carapaz gets 40 points there. So he just put himself into 60 points on the day, basically becoming the virtual leader of the KOM jersey. You just got to kind of hold on till the end. They come into the last final climb. Jorgensen has what do we have? About 337 advantage over there, a little bit more than that at the bottom. Kelderman is pulling on the front. At this point, you've got Jai Hindley's already been dispensed of. You have Carapaz and Yates. Those are really the only two left in there that are going to be competing. Jorgensen decides to hit out, and we'll play an interview with him here. He basically says he lives in Nice. He's ridden this a bunch. He's done a bunch of his own altitude camps there. He's very well adept and knows this climb very well, and he's like, look, I didn't want to play off of these guys' wheels. I didn't want to, it was a steeper part at the bottom. I just thought I would go. Now, who's on his wheels? Carapaz is back there. Like I said, he's won the Giro d'Italia. He's become top 3 at the Vuelta. He's won the mountain jersey there. He's won a stage at all 3 Grand Tours, I believe. Definitely the Tour, definitely the Giro, and I pretty much believe the Vuelta. He just won a stage the other day at the Tour. You've also got Yates, who's won the Vuelta. He's been in the leader's jersey at the Giro as well, and he's obviously a well-known rider of the 4th place last year in the Tour himself. And Kelderman has just been doing a ton of work. Well, Jorgensen takes off there. He's got a decent gap immediately, and it looks pretty good for him. The 2 other riders that you could just see, they have a little bit of harder time, Yates and Carapaz, trying to get up to speed right away. Kelderman jumps on their wheel, and they are immediately a distance just a little bit. And pretty much I'll just say they never do see Jorgensen again. Although there's playing off of him where they're not, they're within range. They just cannot bring him back. This is a very steady climb. We talked about that yesterday. Kind of the time trialer. It doesn't really have a bunch of ultimate pitches back and forth, but it has a decent amount. Meanwhile, back in the pack, 3 minutes back, is Remco. He's in the group. He's got, you can see Tadej. He's on Tadej's wheel, and right on his wheel is Jonas Vingegaard. 10 kilometers to go. 3 minutes and 7 seconds to Matteo. Is this going to be enough? I don't know. He's now got 30 seconds on Carapaz, who's taken off and dropped Yates. But that battle is going to be back and forth. A little bit of washing machine going on there. Kelderman finally gives up. Just going to kind of mail it in and see if he needs to do any work to maybe drop back for Jonas as a satellite rider at this point. He'd done a lot of work for Matteo as it was. 9.6, 30 seconds, still 3:03 on the yellow jersey. And assuming Tadej does not decide to take off and attack and do what he thinks he needs to do all the time, Matteo's going to have this in the bag. But 3 minutes is not enough with still 9.6 kilometers to go when Tadej's on the warpath. Well, excuse me, he does at 8.7, decides to take off. You could kind of see this coming when they had Adam Yates on the front instead of Landa. Soler had done a lot of work earlier. You remember Ayuso's no longer in this race, so Adam Yates is up there, and it's kind of the last man of the match for UAE. Tadej immediately attacks, and what's interesting about this time you have Remco trying to lead up there. You've seen the last few days where Jonas has tried to get up to the wheel when Tadej has attacked, and he's looked back for help. No help yesterday, at least, or the 2 days ago. Remco kind of gave him to help. This time Remco's like, fuck it, I'm just taking off. And he's immediately drilling himself, he and Jonas, up to the wheel, gets very close. But as soon as they're about there, Tadej decides to step on it again. He steps up out of the saddle. He puts a little bit of a gap. At this point, Remco's looking back for help, but Jonas doesn't take a turn the entire climb. And they go into a tunnel, they come out, and those two, the rubber band and snap, it's never to really be seen again. At this point, 7.7 to go. Matteo Jorgensen, the American rider who's done amazing things. Remember, last year up the Puy de Dôme, he's got this thing, looks like in the bag. In the last few kilometers, Mike Woods of Isola Primertech, the Canadian rider, overtakes him, and then Mahe Mahoric for Bahrain gets just past him a little bit as well. And sadly, Matteo gets a third place. I think the year before that he had had a fourth place finish, or maybe it was in the same race. He came close last year. Puy de Dôme was his very best chance, but we've seen a resurgence. We've seen a much different Matteo this year. He's not kind of just a big guy that's trying to get up there like Mahoric. He is now a legit, he's very much a Tom Dumoulin. He's a Geraint Thomas type, diesel, climbs well. We've seen him all throughout this race doing what he can for Jonas. Sepp Kuss isn't there. They still have Visa Velisa bike, are still missing just one bit of a cog. But the biggest cog they're missing is actually Jonas Vingegaard. He's not on top form, and that's why they allowed Matteo to go ahead today. Was this the best strategy? You look back and you're like, look, Jonas is having a little trouble, but he was able to hang on the wheel today. Maybe the idea of the satellite riders was a good idea. It definitely helped him the other day. You would not have helped Jonas at this point. He was able to hold the wheel of Remco. Why not go for the stage win for the American? Those two up front, Kelderman and Matteo, did a lot of hard work. Matteo, though, comes in this year, wins Dwars van Vorderen. No, was it Dwars? E3 maybe? One of those. I think it was Dwars. That's the one where his teammate crashed out and had a pretty tough preseason, or mid-classic season. Goes into Paris-Nice, wins that over Remco. Goes into the Dauphiné, comes back the last day, almost takes that over Roglic, and so he's had a very good opening season. Down the field, Yates and Carapaz coalesce 35 seconds back, but now Pogačar is closing in 2:08 with 7.7 kilometers to go. Remember, they started that bottom climb. He was just about 3:30 around there behind Pogačar. 6.7. They actually have a little screen picture-in-picture. I don't know why they're not doing this more. This is ridiculous. And by the way, you can make it a little bit different. You could do a split screen. I'm a little tired of these production. This, though, is not off of NBC, and I haven't really been seeing that NBC is doing that. 6.4, 38 seconds back to Carapaz and Yates. Yates leaves Carapaz. I don't think those two are ever connected back up again. This is about the best Carapaz can do, but he's put a lot of points on. As long as he can hold in this top 5 here, he's still going to get some points at the finish. So barring, Tadej coming up winning it and him losing no points at the finish, he's going to be able to get in the KOM jersey, but 143 to Tadej. Malle Blanc, that's Vingegaard. He's almost a minute behind Tadej at this point with just a few kilometers from the attack. 4.4. Remco tries to attack Jonas. Jonas hangs on as best he can, just sitting there. I don't think he at all takes a turn at the front. However, up front, Yates is starting to come back on Matteo. 22 seconds, but Pogačar is dipped inside the minute. 51 seconds back there, yet look at that. 2:12 back to Matteo is Remco and Jonas. Tadej comes up on Carapaz. He immediately goes right past him. Carapaz does try to stick on his wheel. It's not much he can actually do. It's probably best that he doesn't. He's probably already at the limit. Interesting point here at the end, which is Tadej says in an interview that he was done. I mean, his legs, he said, my legs were already cooked. When I came up to Carapaz and Yates, I still went through them as best I could, but it was a difficult time. Interesting to note, he's still flying really fast. He comes up to Yates, 3 kilometers to go. At this point, he's 18. Well, it says 18 seconds, but he's closed in on Matteo. 19 seconds to Pogačar, so he's right up on Yates, which means he's only 20 seconds off of Matteo and a kilometer to go. He just attacks Yates straight away. However, he does come up right at the 2 kilometers. It took him 2 kilometers to close down 20 seconds. He does so. He also says that he then once again, he was very concerned about Matteo catching him and going over the top. Now, this is what he says, but I tend to believe it. When he came right up to Matteo, he immediately went right. He did an attack to him, where the other riders, he just rode through them. This one, he attacked a bit. And Matteo does try to get on. Now, Matteo says in an interview as well that he was like, oh, he caught me. I was just kind of devastated. This is something to learn here going forward, Matteo, which is just because you got caught doesn't mean you're done. According to Tadej, he was spent, and so he was still going. Now, at the last 2 kilometers, he ends up putting about 17 seconds on Matteo, which wasn't all that bad. You look at the last 3 kilometers, he does 40 seconds on him, but the ones before that, 13 or so, I guess it would be about 10, he brought in about 3 minutes. So he caught him for that 3.5, but then that last bit was really difficult. And you never know, Matteo. You didn't lose much time over this. If you jump on his wheel, you're able to hold on and maybe just draft off him a little bit, pace off him a little bit. Maybe that's something you take forward next time to think about, to actually, to fight it as much as possible. I think, though, he was also like, these guys are right behind me. If I do try to go with Tadej, I may not even have a chance at second place. I don't know, man. At some point, and look, I'm speaking as someone here as a armchair quarterback, and he's got the legs out there on the course. It's much more difficult. But with what Tadej's saying, how you actually rode this, you never know. You never know. And it did level off a bit here, and so it could have been to your benefit to actually get a draft. Tadej comes up here. No one's on him. He does look back because he's concerned about Matteo. Pumps the fists up in the air, takes a bow, and you can see Matteo Jorgensen clear in the back. He's going to come in second place. Yates and Carapaz coming in their third, fourth. There was some time bonuses, some KOM points as well. Remco coming across the line. As he's coming up to the line, he does try to shake Jonas a bit. Jonas stays with him. He does look back there and kind of like, are we going to be sprinting for this? Jonas gives this look like, and kind of the elbow, like, I'm done. It's all you. They do power to the line, and then Jonas reaches down and gives him a little bit of a hand thing. There you go. 4 stage wins for Tadej Pogačar in the 2024 Tour de France. Quite excellent. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. Stage win. It says 21 seconds, but he got, remember, time bonuses there. So I think Matteo came in the line at 17 seconds off. Some time bonuses for Matteo Jorgensen, the American, in second place. Simon Yates, third place, 40 seconds. Remember the other day, Carapaz overtook him, and those two swapped it out this time. But it was done now. This time it was just for third rather than for first. Carapaz comes in fourth place, so he gets the fourth place KOM time, minute 11 behind. Remco, 1:42. João Almeida, 2 minutes. Mikel Landa, 2 minutes. Wilco Kelderman back there, 2:52. So he was some help. Derek G with a very solid top 10, 3:27. And then Adam Yates, the same time. Enrique Mas down there in 12th. Carlos Rodriguez had a tough day for Ineos, losing 3:56. Jai Hindley at 4:17. There you go. Let's take a look at there's the GC. Now it's 5:03 to Jonas, 7:01 to Remco, and João Almeida in fourth place at 15:07. 15:34 for Mikel Landa, who's moving up there. Carlos Rodriguez drops down 17:36. Adam Yates at 19:18. Derek G in the top 10 at 21:52. And our boy Matteo Jorgensen leaps up to the 9th place complete at 22:43, just 3 seconds ahead of Giulio Ciccone. Solid day. Biniam Girmay, he's going to win that green jersey. I just don't see either one of them be able to get the point, or Jasper being able to get the points tomorrow. They didn't even fight it out today. The Chase did, and this is the reason why. Carapaz takes now over the polka dot jersey, 101 points to 87. There's a good chance with his legs that he's going to be able to come into the finish with that. Remco Evenepoel is leading the youth category, 10:35 over Carlos and 15:42 over Matteo. And the team classification is well going to UAE with Adam Yates, João Almeida, and Tadej Pogačar. There's tomorrow's stage. Okay, we got a Cat 2, we got a Cat 1. Then there's a sprint. That's not going to be contested at all. So I'm just saying Biniam Girmay has got this win in the bag for the green jersey. Then the Col de la Clémaine at about 95 kilometers, they crest this one. This one's only on the 135 as well, so you could see a rocket day as well. Now, Tadej's come out and said, I'm letting the break go tomorrow. I just want to enjoy this. Do you? I don't know. We'll see if that happens. If that's the case, you could very well see, Carapaz trying to get up the road again. Here's kind of the we had the Brian Cocard. We showed this at the first sprint. There is the KOM's Carapaz over Matteo, and then Carapaz over Matteo as well again. And then Pogačar takes the final one. It was only 10 points for the Isola 2000. They really did it heavy in the middle, which really helped Carapaz. Carapaz took 4 points there today, but only loses 6 to Tadej overall. So he gains that 40, 20, he gains 60. Early on, and then put another 4 in there. So solid work for him. Points at the finish. I'm sorry, there were. These are green jersey points. There you go. 24 Pogačar, nothing for Girmay, and Richard Carapaz got the most aggressive rider of the day. There you go. Very interesting stage today. Then after the finish, there's commentary on Peacock, and we've talked about this before, which is during the Giro, the Tour of Italy, Tadej comes out there, wins 6 stages, blows everybody away. He catches some little-known riders at the finish of some big climbs, the Queen Stage. He calls these ones the Queen Stage, and he really wants to have those stages in the bag as his wins. And today was his Queen Stage, he called it, and so therefore he really wanted to have this win, which he did go and get. 3.5 minutes take on. And by the way, he lives close by there. Larry Warbass was for decathlon team, American Detroit native. He was on commentary today on Eurosport, and he was saying, he goes, look, we do that climb a lot. Tadej does that climb a ton. He lives around there as well. He lives in Monaco, but he rides up around Nice. And it's a climb that he knows well, and he's done it numerous times, much like Matteo. Sometimes, you really want to win on a climb that you do all the time. Maybe you fantasize about that, and that's kind of what took place today. So then there's this question of, should he being Tadej, be not so aggressive? Did he need to do this today? No, he did not need to do this today, but he did. Okay, and once again, we've talked about this in the Giro, and so about him taking these stages that maybe he should be gifting them a little more. Remember, there's complaints in the riders' field about him just winning too much. This has been a history. This is why Eddie Merckx, one of the greatest riders, Cavendish just overtook his time, his amount of wins in the Tour de France, but he's called the Cannibal, right? Then there's the Badger, which was Bernard Hinault. Some of these names of these guys that just were relentless and winning all the time and then not giving gifts. Lance was told that by Eddie Merckx, no gifts when Floyd Landis was trying to win the stage off the front for him as a teammate, and then the German rider, I'm trying to remember his name, but Lance out sprinted him at the end. Things go along like this, and do you garner goodwill in the pack for this? Yes, perhaps. Okay, I get that. Now, I was super disappointed that Matteo didn't win. It would have been fine with me if he gifts him a stage, so to speak, or doesn't chase him down. But he did chase him down, okay? And so what are you supposed to do? Well, you got to get 4 minutes then at the bottom, or maybe even more than that. Or maybe there's something else you do, okay? So I am not one that thinks that you need to be gifting these things. Now, there's this whole argument with Peacock, TJ Van Garderen, talk about just the queen himself. just gushing over the fact that this should be happening, and I'm blown away. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is why you were not a killer yourself. Okay, you had a lot of talent, and then what you're expecting races to be gifted to you, I don't think that's the case. But it was a weird mentality how he was so stuck on this. He gets stuck on this gifting idea, and I've heard him talk about this before. Then Steve Perino actually goes to Neilson Powless and talks to him about that, and tries to actually have him make this argument as well. And Nelson's like, he goes, look, I don't know, no one really wants to be gifted. And he's like, when I rode for Roglic, he's like, he was winning a ton that year in the Vuelta. Yes, Neilson Powless was on Visma. At least they were Jumbo at the time, and he and Sepp Kuss were doing a lot of work. Roglic kept winning those stages, and Neilson Powless's point is, he's like, as a teammate, you're doing a lot of work. You don't want to be giving these. You love that guy is out there winning these stages for you because you're sacrificing a ton, and now you get to reap the rewards. One, money, and two, what is your work for? Okay, and that is the same thing here. Look what Niels Paulet did. Now they didn't have to chase this down so hard. Niels Paulet doing a ton of work up the Col de Vars or the Col de Bonnet, or one of those, the Chima something Bonnet, right? It's in there, and doing a lot of work, bringing this in. And remember that happened in the Giro, which is the team's like, oh, this guy's up the road, and we did a lot of work, and the team's like, no, go for it. We want you to win. So I don't begrudge Tadej for doing this, and I think this gifting, or that's not the reason you should say Tadej shouldn't be doing this. I think you should say, for the spirit of Tadej's own winning, maybe you tone it down so that you don't wreck yourself or your team, rather than, why don't you be more nice to us? That is such a lame reason for doing this. I personally think, and I don't think, by the way, when you've got one of the best teams in the world, and this team has just won you the Giro, and now they're out here helping you control and winning the Tour in a dominating fashion, do you care that you need help from these other teams? Personally, I would say no. And I would also say, from a sporting perspective, I don't care. I want to see cutthroat then, okay? Isn't this what Lance is always talking about? I don't like that these guys are friends afterwards. They're friends afterwards, but look what's happening here, okay? I would much rather that they're being friends afterwards. They give a handshake, but you're a cutthroat killer on the bike doing what you have. Now, there's last question we have to address, which is, when you see performance like this, are you wondering, is Tadej on something? Okay, I don't like these conversations, but at some point you have to start questioning these kind of concerns, right? Which is, he's so far and above, and I tend to think, okay, there's this CO2 or carbon monoxide rebreather things they're doing. That sounds a little suspect. It sounds to me that's more like performance enhancing, but it's not illegal. We'll see what happens with that. They obviously train better, different than they have before. They're eating different than they have before. The bikes are a little bit different than they have. They're saying they're just faster. Everything's changing. With that in mind, though, you can't help but see what's happened in the past and wonder, right? Remember when Lance was this? We're like, oh, we're not questioning it. Yet he had this whole scheme, blood doping, EPO, steroids, everything he was doing, this whole package and his doctoring. So it is, I think it's valid to be asking these questions. It's kind of crazy not to be doing it, not to be asking them. But at this point, I'm also letting the riders I'm not going to accuse. I'm going to, okay. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he's clean. I'm hoping he's clean, and that it's just something that everyone can get up to as far as we go. Tadej Pogačar, awesome. Yes, he is incredible. I hope he is credible on this, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until we see otherwise. But man, when you see, here would be the problem, right? Let's say he's doping or doing something like that. Let's just say that that's out there. Do you really want to like rub it in everyone's face by winning like this? So I'm tempted to say he's not, and he's just a completely different animal. This is what's impressive about him, which is the way he races: uphill, downhill, classics, Tour de France, time trials. I mean, he does everything exceptionally well. We're not looking at a Lance Armstrong body right here where you're going like, this doesn't seem plausible. Dude's small framed and light and fast. You don't dope to get this fast twitch that he happens to have, but also be able to climb. So I completely give the fact that he's got at least the body type to be doing this. He's got the balls to be doing this, as Remco would say. And so from there, I don't really have too much of an issue. Tomorrow's stage, did we present that one? I think that we did. We did talk about this one. So there's the stage tomorrow. I'm looking for that. If a breakaway gets up the road, look for Carapaz to be back up there. Look for it's the last ditch effort for any of these climber types to try to get up the road. Maybe even some of these top 10s. Maybe you'll see a Derek G try to get up the road again to see what he can do. Nilson Powless, but I think Nilson is really working for Ben O'Connor. I'm sorry, Healy. Or Carapaz, and they're going to probably continue to do that. Maybe a Jai Hindley back up there again. We can look at several teams that have not got a win yet this race. Bahrain, Decathlon, Israel Primertech, Uno X. Lotto has finally got one. Total Energies has got one. Arkea has got one. Red Bull has not. Movistar has not. Ineos has not. And that, to me, maybe they have to get Kwiatkowski back up the road again and see if they, or Carlos, who knows who they're going to get up there. Okay, so that's what we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff that we have, because this is the Tour de France. Tomorrow, another big day in the mountains. Pretty proud of Matteo Jorgensen. I think it's been announced that Sepp Kuss is going to be doing the Vuelta, so I think hopefully he's in shape. Matteo's not coming there for him. I don't know about Jonas. He seems to be kind of wrecked this season. He is in a state that I have not seen. He was like crying after the finish. I think his wife was there with his daughter or his child. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to come back at all. I suspect that when he's done with the Tour, he's done for the season, and you're just going to see different riders. So Visma, they need to get on track. They need to get a win here, a big win, and it might be with Sepp Kuss at the Vuelta. But it's going to be a battle between he and Roglic and perhaps some other riders. Remember, Visma, they also have, I'm trying to remember the Belgian rider that was in the Giro that dropped out. He did okay in top 10 or so in the Vuelta last year. He's now on their team as well. So there is some support riders that can go to the Vuelta. But if Sepp Kuss comes up, he has the formula he did last year, it would be great to see him in the Vuelta. Tomorrow, stage 20, and then we got 21. I predict tomorrow from the break, Carapaz again? I don't know. Maybe Jai Hindley. Let's go with Jai Hindley. See you tomorrow.
Froome now, he goes on the offensive, he goes on the attack over the top of this final climb, and nobody at the moment can go with him.
He had 75 kilometres to go, and now under the Flamme Rouge, and there he is, still the virtual Maglia Rosa on the road. Who would have thought it at the start of today? But Chris Froome